Hello? You must be all those Whovians. Or non-Whovians. Or wannabe Whovians. Who's just an adult? Parent? Or child? Is that a cat? Was that no, dog? Woof, woof. No, maybe not. Oh, as long as it's not those spiders live in the corner of your bedrooms, then that's fine. Well, anyway, hello, anyone is welcome, and thank you for tuning in. But you're probably wondering why I'm making this video. Well, the truth of the matter is, my wife and children hate Doctor Who. Yep, hate. Such a strong word. I prefer dislike or distaste or a sense of revulsion. Try to read a thesaurus or a dictionary. Words are the most powerful weapons in the universe. You should know that by now. So I'm making this video to re-educate them on why I love this show so much. And for anybody else, if you want to learn something or possibly have a recap on something, then great. I'm more than happy to have you on board, and thank you. So I'll try to make this as crystal clear as I can, but in the words of the 10th Doctor, it can get a little bit wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. So the first thing I want to tackle is that Doctor Who's for geeks and nerds. Now, I found 2 quotes from previous stars on Doctor who may have something to say about that. So let's look at that now. Simon Pegg, a famous actor who's been in big hits like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, he played the role of the editor in the episode The Long Game with the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. And he said this about being a geek. Being a geek is all about being honest about what you enjoy and not being afraid to demonstrate that affection. It means never having to play it cool about how much you like something. Being a geek is extremely liberating. Do you know, it is so true. How many people spend lots of money on football shirts or rugby shirts or just their team shirts and spend £40 to £50 each year on those things? And do we say they're mad or they're crazy? No, it's fine. You do what you like. At the end of it, as long as it brings you happiness, then go for it. You know, I like spending my money on Doctor Who memorabilia because it brings me joy and happiness. Do I spend more than £50 a year? Probably. Okay, but if it brings you happiness, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Now, the second quote comes from somebody who's well known in the Doctor Who circle. His name is John Barrowman. He plays Captain Jack Harkness. He's been in both Doctor Who and Torchwood, which is a spin-off of Doctor Who and also an anagram of Doctor Who, if you will. Now, John Barrowman, if you don't know him from this, he's also been in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, the UK version, and he is also been a judge on Dancing on Ice in the UK. Now, John Barrowman had this to say: never apologise for being nerdy, because unnerdy people never apologise for being Now, he's to the point. Now, whether you agree with him or not, that's up to you. Now, I kind of agree in a way, because a lot of people get a lot of stick for being nerdy, because we do something we love. So, if you agree, great. If you don't, hey, I'm sorry, it's an opinion. Okay, but at the end of the day, John Barrowman, he's a wonderful chap, and he's just fabulous. Fabulous. So, to my wife, in answer to this point, Doctor Who's for geeks and nerds. Well, do you know what? Yeah, 100%. And you married me, babe. So at the end of the day, hey, you married a geek and a nerd, and I'm never going to apologise. So, nummer dos, severe, never. No? Anyone? No? Okay, it's lost on you. Number 2. Well, apparently Doctor Who's boring. Now, each their opinion, obviously, but a show that was originated in 1963, that is the longest running sci-fi show ever in the world, not just the UK where I am here, but the world. The longest running sci-fi show in the world ever. It's had over 860 episodes. It reached out to 7.66 million viewers over the course of 1963. Okay, it breaks records. Now, let's skip forward 50 years. It's 2013, and Doctor Who's 50th anniversary. I was fortunate enough to watch it at the cinema, but it was broadcast live simultaneously over 94 different countries worldwide. As I say, I went to the cinema to watch it, and with apparently over 500,000 other people went to watch it at the same time, and it broke records. The Guinness Book of Records say that it's the most watched programme at the cinema simultaneous ever. We had Latin and North America, Australia and Europe all watching it at the same time, and it was in 3D as well. It was amazing, and just everyone getting together. I mean, even queuing to get into the cinema and watching people line up in TARDIS onesies and dressing up to go to a cinema. I mean, conventions I could understand, but a cinema doing it was like a big family that just come together. And I always remember this one part. We were sat there, done the trailers or watching, ready to come on, and one of the usherettes or ladies who worked there had to come up to the front of the screen, and she had to tell us all as a collective, could you please not wave your sonic screwdrivers around in the air during the film, as it may distract other people. Thank you. As she walked off, and she must have been about 17 or 18, and she looked so embarrassed, and she said, I don't think I've ever had to say that, and would she ever have to do it again? But the whole audience just erupted in laughter and clapped the girl as she walked off. It was such a great moment to be in, and it'd be a memory I'd always have. So it broke records again, so this silly little TV show that is boring, breaking records again. So again, it's opinions at the end of the day, but honey, it can't be that bad, can it? So for such a boring little TV show that nobody wants to be associated with, obviously, because it's so boring, and nobody would be part of a boring program or TV or film, would they? That would just be silly. But it might surprise you to learn that there's been quite a few famous faces that have been part of Doctor Who, and I should name but a few for you. Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Derek Jacobi, Sir Michael Gambon, Dame Diana Rigg, Richard E. Grant, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Matt Lucas, David Walliams, James Corden, Lee Evans, Carey Mulligan, Kylie Minogue. Now, these are just a few of the people who have been in Doctor Who, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, for people who live over in America and waters over from the UK, there'll be a lot of names that have been on the British TV shows, which I haven't told you because you may not have heard of them, but I'm sure you've heard of the people I've just gone through. Megastars. But again, it just goes to show that people want to be associated with Doctor Who, because it's an iconic show which will be embedded in to UK and if not the world forever. So little show, a bit boring, hey? But lots of people want to be part of it. Right, on to part 3 of why Doctor Who's rubbish, apparently. It's tacky and cheap. Now, we're talking more of the classic era here, okay? Apparently painting bubble wrap green and winding it around a person as a monster is cheap, tacky, rubbish, and for that reason will not watch the show. Yes, okay, the effects weren't as good back in the day. However, it wasn't the effects that made the show. The stories themselves were, well, they were great. I mean, some of the writing these days is questionable, okay, I think some might say, but the effects just made it. I mean, there's not the budget of what they have now to make these programs, and as I say, it can't be that bad, because otherwise people wouldn't have watched it, full stop, okay. So Yeah, it's tacky, it's boring. Yeah, she won't. They don't want to watch it in black and white because that's just old and it just wouldn't be any good. However, I don't think Love Island has many effects in there, but I'm sure. But she still watches that. I wonder if she'd watch it if it was in black and white. But yeah, so apparently it's tacky and white. But it was the stories that made it work. So grab a cup of tea, grab a cup of coffee, sit down, enjoy the story, get lost in the world of Doctor Who, and look past the effects. Because I mean there's been lots of films at the cinema which have been spent huge amounts of money and budgets on there, but just flopped because the stories just weren't good enough. I mean X-Men, something Dark Phoenix, Serenity, Cats, huge musical everyone thought was going to be fantastic, but it bombed and it had all the money spent on the effects, so it's not all about the money on the effects, but the actual story and the acting. But that can be questionable sometimes, I'll be honest. Okay, but fast forward to the future, and I'm sure people would agree that it's more in depth, immersive in the way it is shot and the cameras and everything. It's a completely different show these days, and the way it is filmed. But yeah, I mean, classic or new, I love both, and I think you should always give the classic one a try. So that was number 3 of why it's good to watch. Okay, number 4. It's scary. Doctor Who scary, but that's good. That's good. Every now and then, a little bit of being scared is like a superpower, as the 12th Doctor says. It can make you run faster, make you strong. Hey, I'm no Peter Capaldi. But yeah, I mean, being scared, it's always good to be scared and kept on your toes every now and then. And I can understand that people used to hide behind the sofas, and the Daleks and Cybermen, the Weeping Angels, creatures which people are scared of, and I can understand that. But there's so many stories where, it's not scary, it's actually quite educational. I mean, I can remember watching episodes and learning about the Romans or the Aztecs, Marco Polo, Madame de Pompadour. There's so like Rosa Parks in the not long episode that aired out a couple of seasons ago. There's so many educational parts on there which actually teaches you about history, and that was one of the bases years ago when Sidney Newman and Verity Lambert obviously put this forward. But yes, there are scary parts of it, I'm not going to lie. I can remember one episode, it was 1984, and it was the 5th Doctor, Peter Davison, and the episode was called The Awakening, or the story was called The Awakening, and there was a creature that lived behind a wall, and the wall was crumbling down, and these big green eyes would appear. And I remember as a child, that scared the living daylights out of me. I couldn't sleep in my bedroom that night. I couldn't. I had to go and sleep in my brother's bedroom with him, because I thought that my wall was going to crack and that was going to come this face. So I understand that it's scary, and I did have nightmares about that. But it's moved on so much. I mean, back in 1984, we didn't have the choice of having a rerun on BBC Three, iPlayer, or any sort of system where we can watch it back straight away. Now we can. So whether it'll be that we read the synopsis of the programme or the episode beforehand, somebody watches it and then pass it on. I watch these episodes and say to my wife, it's not a scary one, watch it. But she just won't, because of all the facts so far that we've already said. So I need to change this. Okay, so if any of you could have any ideas, okay, I can make it less scary for her to watch, or even suggest an episode that you think would be a good starter point. I don't think it helped that one of the first episodes she did ever watch was Blink, when we were waiting to go to America. We were staying in a hotel and we watched it before we went out for tea, so it didn't help. But yeah, Doctor Who can be scary, but it's part and parcel of the show. But we can show you different episodes which aren't so scary. I mean, an adipose, they scary? Not really. A little fat creature which makes silly noises and goes round. So no, it can be scary, but there are plenty which aren't.
So on to number 5. They just don't understand the show, and so just a little bit about the show and a synopsis of it. Hopefully they'll like it. So Doctor Who follows the adventures of a Time Lord called the Doctor, an extraterrestrial being with 2 hearts. In appearance, the Doctor looks human, but is actually from the planet Gallifrey. The Doctor explores the universe in a time-travelling spaceship which is big on the inside than out, and is disguised as a blue British police box, and it's called the TARDIS. Accompanied by a number of companions, the Doctor combats a variety of foes like killer robots and megalomaniacs, while working to save civilizations and help people in need. The Doctor doesn't carry a gun or believe in violence. The Doctor succeeds in helping through the power of knowledge and words. But sometimes the life of a Time Lord comes to an end. However, the Doctor can change his physical appearance, but keeping all his or her memories throughout this. The life cycle of a Time Lord is set to 12, which means they can have 13 different bodies. However, this is a trick, and we will find out in later episodes, I'm sure. Regardless, the Timeless Child, which is split opinion between lots of fans. Some like it, some don't, but we will find out how that goes. So I'll be doing more videos regarding reviews on Doctor Who. So from episode 1, The Unearthly Child, all the way up to Jodie Whittaker's tenor at the moment. I will look at, focus on different enemies like the Daleks, the Ice Warriors, Weeping Angels, the Sycorax, lots of different monsters, and also look at things like the TARDIS, the different interiors. We can rate them, okay, and see how we go from there. But the reason I'm doing these videos is just so I can get my wife and my family into Doctor Who, and the more subscribes that I have, and the more likes, the more chance I have of sitting down with my family watching the show that I love, and hopefully they'll learn to love. So please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and like my episodes of the upcoming videos. I really appreciate it for you taking the time to sit and watching this, and I hope to see you again, and thank you very much. And as the Doctor says, allons-y!